Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Welcome to another new moon, new month. First and foremost, I'd like to entreat the angel that stands at the door to come in and sup with us and us with him, making this a holy convocation by the angel's presence. This evening's class is entitled Worth the Wager. The definition of wager is risk against someone else's on the basis of the outcome of an unpredictable event. So that could be money or a valued item. When you look at where Israel stands, Israel is valuable to Yahweh. So we have to ask ourselves, are we worth the wager? And as we go through tonight's class, hopefully we'll get an understanding of this wager against us as individuals and wager against us as a nation of people. Let's begin in Job chapter 1. We're going to read verses 6 through 12.
Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yah, and Satan came also among them. And Yahweh said unto Satan, Whence cometh you? And Satan answered Yahweh and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And Yahweh said unto Satan, Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, perfect and an upright man, one that fears Elohim and hates evil?
So at this very point, Yahweh has now put Job on the radar. He's now standing up to say, this man right here, I'm willing to put a wager on this man right here. I know what kind of man this is. So as we read this, we should be able to get that there's some back and forth of somewhat of a wager being placed. Go ahead.
Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, Does Job fear Elohim for naught? Has not you made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he has on every side? Have you blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land? But put forth your hand now, and touch all that he have, and I will curse, and he will curse you to your face.
So here's a caveat to this wager. You do these things, and he'll do this. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Satan, Behold, all that he has is in your power. Only upon himself put not forth your hand. So Satan went forward from the presence of Yah.
So at this point, Yahweh say, I'll take that bet. But in taking that bet, this is your limitations. Let's go to Job chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 1 through 6.
Again, there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came also among them to present himself before Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Satan, From whence cometh you? And Satan answered Yahweh and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And Yahweh said unto Satan, Has you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, perfect and an upright man, one that fears Elohim and hates evil? And still he holds fast his integrity, although you move me against him to destroy him without a cause.
So here go another step to the wager. You move me against him, but he's still standing firm. So he's still holding firm like I knew he would. Go ahead.
And Satan answered Yahweh and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man has will he give for his life. But put forth your hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse you to your face. And Yahweh said unto Satan, Behold, he is in your hand, but save his life.
So as we going through trials and tribulations in our daily lives, do we consider that there might be a wager placed on us? How are we making through it? How are we holding up our end? Because Yahweh believes in this man, so much so that he's willing to remove certain things that would look favorable to Satan. But it's not working out in Satan's favor. So much so he comes back with another caveat. Say, okay, well, that didn't work the first time, but if you do this, do we consider that might be our trials and tribulations? While we keep crying, well, I can't seem to win. But when you look at Job, the real winning came on the end. For some of us that have gone through trials and tribulations coming up and losing now, it don't hurt as bad. Like Elder always say, hey man, I'd rather lose in the beginning than lose on the end. Take that first L in the beginning. Because when you take the L on the end part, you don't know how to act. But when we read this, Job had substance. So you think that that would make Job fall apart. But even with a man who already had substance, Yahweh said, nah, I'm willing to bet on him. I'm willing to wager. And I guarantee you I'm not going to lose this wager. We have to look at our own lives that way. Let's go to Genesis chapter 18.
No praise.
Go ahead, brother.
Sometimes you got to know when you're winning and when you're losing.
Exactly.
Sometimes you get into your feelings. You feel like you're losing. You look like you're losing, but you're really not losing.
And sometimes the winning ain't worth it.
What you think winning ain't worth it. Because, again, you were winning when you was in that messed up situation.
Mm-hmm.
Or what you thought was messed up.
You know, Priest, as you bring that up, you have to think about this coming events that we are aware of. It's funny when the heathen starts telling you, man, I can see stuff coming. You know, people aren't prepared. And I'm sitting there like, well, I'm glad you see what's coming, because our people should be in a better position when the ish hits the fan, those of us who are used to not having anything, those of us who are used to barely making it. It's the people who have and have been living wonderfully that this is going to affect the most. And that's the thing, is that we can't forget where we came from, because that is the thing that's going to get us through. If you remember, you're used to not having anything, and Yahweh has provided you with just enough to make it through, we should be all right. But it's when we start doubting what Yahweh will do for us, that's when we're going to be in trouble. Go ahead.
That's it. I want to keep going.
Genesis 18, you ever read?
No, we're going to Genesis 18.
Yes.
Genesis 18.
Verse 17 through 19.
And Yahweh said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh, to do justice and judgment, that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him.
So he said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Yahweh has not hidden anything from Abraham. We are the seed of Abraham. We have it all right here, so nothing's hidden from us. All the trials, all the tribulations, the past that our forefathers went through, and what is yet to come is all here. We just got to make it through. Let's go to Genesis chapter 22. We're going to read verses 1 through 18. Yahweh said, I know him, referring to Abraham. He will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh to do justice and judgment. Genesis chapter 22 and verse 1.
And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here am I. And he said, Take now your son, your only son, Esaac, whom you lovest, and get you into the land of Moriah, and offer him there a burnt offering. Offer him therefore a burnt offering, one of the mountains which I will tell you of. And Abraham rose early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Esau his son, and clave the wood of the burnt offering, and rose up, and he went unto the place of which Elohim had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide you here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Esau his son. And he took the fire in his hand, and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Esau spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, Elohim will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they both went, both of them together. And they came to a place which Elohim had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Esau his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him. For now I know that you fear Elohim, seeing that you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram, and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called the name of that place Yahweh Yireh, as it is said to this day, in the mount of Yahweh it shall be seen. And the angel of Yahweh called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, By myself I have sworn, said Yah, for because you hast done this thing, and has not withheld your son, your only son, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed, as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And your seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice.
In verse 16, he says, and said, this is the angel, and said, By myself have I sworn. You understand that that's a powerful statement? Because who we always swear by? I swear for God. He said, I swear for myself that you have done this thing. So Yahweh swore on himself. We always swear for God. He ain't got nobody else to swear on. He got to swear on himself that this thing will be so. Let's go to Matthew chapter 26. Matthew chapter 26, and we're going to read verse 36 through 46. You know, it's something serious when you got to swear on yourself. You know, we'll do other things too. We'll swear on mama's life and this and that, which is not a good thing, because you're basically betting on that person. You might be putting that person in jeopardy. Matthew chapter 26 and start at verse 36, please.
Then cometh Yahshua with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, Sit you here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Cephas and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then he said unto them, My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry you here, and watch with me. And when he went a little further, and fell on his face, and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. And he comes unto the disciples, and found them asleep, and said unto Cephas, What, could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. And he went away the second time, and prayed, saying, O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, your will be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were very heavy. And he left them, and went away again, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then comes he to the disciples and said unto them, Sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of the sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me.
So we see Yahshua prayed 3 times to have this thing taken away from him. It's already been set. Whether it's a wager, whether it's a vow, you can't get past this. How can I let you get past this when I just took Abraham to the limit with his own son? Nah, I got you. I bet that you can do it too. Now, to confirm that this was already set, let's go back up and go to verse 17. I'm going to read verse 17 through 24.
Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yahshua, saying unto him, Where will you that we prepare for you to eat the Passover? And he said, Go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, The master says, My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Yahshua had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now, when the even was come, he sat down with the 12. And as they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceedingly sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Adonai, is it I? And he answered and said, He that dips his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him. But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born.
So I wanted to back up so we could verify that this is already set in stone. This was already a done deal. He tried to go around it, but this is a done deal. No, there's no bypassing this. You already know it, as it is written of you. So if you go past it, what happens to the writings? What happens to what's already set? What's written about us? What's already set for us? Whatever is there, whatever we're going through, sometimes we like to say, man, if I could turn back the hands of time, what is set is set. That's the trials and tribulations that was meant for you to go through. For whatever experience you gain from it. And to be honest, as parents, sometimes we try to keep our children out of things because we know what's coming, but these hard-headed little jokers keep running towards it. Sometimes you just got to back up and say, hey, man, I guess you're going to have to learn on your own. Acts chapter 9. Acts chapter 9, and we're going to read verses 1 through 17.
And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughters against the disciples of the Adonai, went unto the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he had found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And he journeyed. He came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecute you me? And he said, Who art you, Adonai? And the Adonai said, I'm Yahshua, whom you persecuted. It is hard for you to kick against the pricks. And he, trembling and astonished, said, Adonai, what will you have me to do? And the Adonai said unto him, Arise, and go into the city, and it shall be told you what you must do.
So when we going through our crying, those of us that's on this walk and be put on this path, when we get to crying that's unfair, that's what we need to look back at. We need to look back on the times that we kicked against the prick. How many times we persecuted Yahshua. How many times we persecuted this way, even though we didn't know the word, But let's stop and examine. Because Saul is in that same place where he's hearing this new found thing, but he knows nothing of it. But when we get evidence and proof, why do we allow people to pull us off of where we stand? We weren't just haphazardly brought into this. That's why I say, what price was paid for us? What wager was placed on us as a people, us as individuals, to be where we're at? And then to come and half walk makes no sense. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the man which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. And Saul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no man. But they led him by the hand, and brought him into Damascus. And he was 3 days without sight, and neither did eat nor drink. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus, named Ananias. And to him said the Adonai in a vision, Ananias. And he said, Behold, I am here, Adonai. And the Adonai said unto him, Arise, and go into the street, which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Yehuda for one called Saul of Tarshish. For, behold, he prays, and he had seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in, and putting his hand on him, that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias answered, Adonai, I have heard by many of this man how much evil he has done to your saints at Jerusalem. And he has authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on your name. But the Adonai said unto him, Go your way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles, and the kings, and the children of Israel.
How many of us consider this? That our past deeds, our past dealings, the past man still has people afraid of us, even though we're now been set on this journey? Do we stop and examine that these people might truly have reason to be standoffish? We got to keep those things in consideration as well. Everybody is not accepting of the change. It's not that Ananias wanted him to fail. It's not that Ananias had something against him becoming a saint. There was fear there. Man, you sure this is the man? What he said, nah, hey, he gonna have to show forth how great a price he gonna have to pay. I'm betting on this man to take care of the business. You go do your job. Let me worry about this. Go ahead.
You know what I noticed, priest, about a lot of these people who Yahweh chose? It's because of what they chose to do. It ain't like Yahweh not giving you an opportunity to do whatever everybody's given 24 hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times we do what we want to do with our 24. You can see as when these things came to Saul, he didn't sit up there and argue back and forth. Like, he didn't even know who he was talking to. But when certain things came to him, he moved. Same thing with Moshe. And that's how he was able to be even considered or even used when you look at how they were approached. Because he had a different kind of heart when certain things came to him. Same thing with Dawid, when he seen, hey, when he did certain things and certain information came to him, he didn't sit there and waste time fighting that issue.
You know, we all start a little wobbly. Because you mentioned Moshe, and you got to think about it. Even when Moshe started, right? Moshe was like, hey, man, I can't speak eloquent. He was doing all he could do to dodge getting on the path. And Yahweh kept saying, when he dodged, Yahweh put something else. No, ain't Aaron your brother? You're not getting out of this. You're going to do this. But what it did, when you look at them, they all had past dealings that needed to be covered. Moshe killed a man. Hey man, I'm going to need you to do something to be able to cover this. Do we consider that? There's a wager that has to be paid off. When you go gamble, you put money on the table, right? But there's something placed there of value. Yahweh said, aren't you more valuable than many sparrows? That wager's placed there. You may win and you may lose. You had something, priest?
Yeah. A lot of times we count that at the table. A lot of times we count things that it don't even belong to you. It's in you. It's sitting right there in front of you, but it still don't belong to you, and we forget. See, the thing about Saul, he wasn't. It ain't like he was reminded, like right there. It was something that clicked when something else came. It wasn't like, just like when you said Moshe. You mentioned Moshe killed the man. I always say, man, that wasn't brought up to Moshe.
Exactly.
That wasn't brought up directly to Moshe, but Moshe know he did something. There was something that governed him, and you can see through these disciples and through these servants that they had something in them that reminded them, hey, the law.
Hey, boy, I thought you were going to break out in a song right there when you talking about you still sitting at the table. I heard the gambler come to my mind. You can't never count your money while you sitting at the table. Hey, man, we all got to count the cost. You know what I mean? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 2. For verily he took not on him the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. And that's referring to Yahshua. Why? I couldn't afford for you to be sent to the earth as an angel. You would not understand this creature that you created. The best way for you to understand this creation, this man that you created, I need you to go there in the form of that fleshly man. But a wager's placed on you, though, that you're going to be all right. That's why he didn't answer him 3 times. Can you change this? No, I can't change it. You're going to have to go through this. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6. I mean, sometimes as Yahweh places more upon us, we think it's okay to put one thing aside to pick up the next thing. No, it's talents. You're supposed to be adding to your talents. And we have people that run around this building. And sometimes it's hard to know what department they're in, because they're in all the departments. You don't hear them complaining. All they want to know is, send me the schedule on time so I can figure out this schedule to be in this other department. I don't need the clashing of schedules so I can't do my job over here. It's no different than your regular 9-to-5 job. A lot of people are in all different departments doing all types of things because today this supervisor might want you to be over here to help out. Well, I need you to go help out that department. But we don't complain then. Because what? Money's attached. Finances attached. Your salvation's attached. Because the thing about it is we still have to remember there's going to come a time where it says we're going to be a nation of priests. But when we sit here and look at the priesthood, there's not just one job in the priesthood. There's going to come a time when our houses are going to be separated. It said Dawid and his house apart. Okay, let's put that on ourselves. Kish and his house apart. Yahshua and his house apart. Mishael and his house apart. You know what that means? You're not going to be around to be able to guide the house. So now is the opportunity, while we're still together, for the members of the house to understand the running of different departments. Because we are going to have to deal with other Israelites, those who think they know who they are and those who don't know who they are. But the time for preparation is not when the houses are apart. Where are we at, priest? 1 Corinthians?
1 Corinthians chapter 6. Dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to the law before the unjust and not before the saints? Do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? And if the world shall be judged by you, and you are unworthy to judge the smallest matters, know you not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? If you have judgment of
That's it, brother. That's it, priest. Look at this undertaking. That we're going to one day judge angels, right? These are the entities that are currently writing down everything that we do. What changes that we're going to judge them? What is going to change that we're going to judge them? It's an angel who runs to Yahweh right now with railing accusations. What Elder always say? You got those people who always first to run and go tell their side of the story, right? This is written. If this is written, and Lucifer understands what's written, don't you think they know that this is yet to come? As a matter of fact, let's go to Jonah chapter 3. Because that same statement of us judging angels, we're going to get back to that here in a few. Jonah chapter 3, and we're going to read through chapter 4 and verse 4.
And the word of Yahweh came unto Jonah the second time, saying, Arise, go unto Nineveh, that great city, and preach unto it the preaching that I bid you. And Jonah arose and went unto Nineveh, according to the word of Yah. Now Nineveh was an exceeding great city, of 3 days' journey. And Jonah began to enter into the city a day's journey. And he cried and said, Yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. So the people of Nineveh believed Elohim, and proclaimed a fast, and put on sackcloth, from the greatest of them even to the least of them. For the word came unto the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne, and he laid his robe from him, and covered him with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. And he caused it to be proclaimed and published through Nineveh, by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, Let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock, taste anything. Let them not feed nor drink water. But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, and cry mightily unto Elohim. Yea, let them turn every one from his evil way, and from the violence that is in their hands. Who can tell if Elohim will turn and repent, and turn away from his fierce anger, that we perish not? And Elohim saw their works, that they turned from their evil way, and Elohim repented of the evil that he said that he would do unto them, and he did it not.
So verse 9 says, Who can tell if Elohim will turn and repent and turn away from his fierce anger, that we perish not? This man is willing to put it all on the line for his whole nation of people. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if this outcome is going to be good. But the only thing we can do is put it all on the line. Go ahead.
But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he was very angry. And he prayed unto Yahweh, and said, I pray you, O Yah, was not this my saying when I was yet in my country? Therefore I fled before unto Tarshish, for I knew that you are the gracious Elohim, and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repented you of the evil. Therefore now, O Yah, take, I beseech you, my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. Then said Yahweh, does you well to be angry?
So, in other words, when you look at Jonah's position, Jonah was betting against these people. Jonah was betting against these people, but somewhere within he knew that Yahweh could change his mind. But from the get-go, he was betting against him to the point that he got angry that it didn't go his way. Who is betting against you? Who's betting against me? Who's betting against us? Let's go to Yohanan chapter 11. You know, they used to say everybody isn't happy about your success. Being on this journey and walking in truth and spirit is successful. But it's only successful if you see it that way. When you look back at where you've come from, where you're at, we should count that as success. And then think about where you could be. And then look at the people that you used to hang out with and sometimes still hang out with. Because guess what? This book still says make friends with the unrighteous mammon. But that don't mean go do what they do. Sometimes when you're around them, you should look and say, you know what, boy, I've come a long way. Don't get haughty about it. Just look and say, look at where I've come. Look at where my Elohim has brought me. Still got a long way to go, though. Go ahead, priest. Jonah chapter 11 and start at verse 20, please. John chapter 11, pardon me. Yohanan chapter 11 and start at verse 20.
Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Yeshua was coming, went and met him. But Miriam sat still in the house. Then said Martha unto Yeshua, Adonai, if you had been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever you will ask of Elohim, Elohim will give it you. Yeshua said unto her, your brother shall rise again. Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Yeshua said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believe you this? She said unto him, Yea, Adonai, I believe that you are the Mashiach, the son of Elohim, which should come in the world, into the world.
Let's consider when we even now we'll do it, when we have certain abilities. When you go to somebody and you say, you believe I can do this? You know that's a wager, that's a bet. Do you believe I can do this? And Yahshua constantly asks that. I need to know, are you betting on me or are you betting against me? Do you believe I can do this? Once again, I ask the question, what wager was placed on us on being put on this path to salvation? Because we know somebody's betting against us. We know for sure the adversary is betting against us. We just don't know price that was put for each one of us. But we gonna get a clue here in a minute of somewhat of the cost for us to be where we're at. Matthew chapter 12 and verse 30 says, "He that's not with me is against me, and he that gathers not with me scatters abroad." When we become doubtful in our walk, are we wagering against our Elohim that saw it fit to put us on the journey to salvation? Yes, Yehudas Iscariot was part of the 12 disciples, but unlike the others, there's no track record of things being done for righteousness' sake before his fall. There's no questioning of his walk or mistakes or lack of understanding. I find it ironic that Matthew 10, verses 2 through 4 says, verse 10 through 4 lists the names of the 12 apostles, and of which Yehudas Iscariot is listed as last. Where it is Yehuda, which is the same as the namesake Yehudas, would also be the last tribe expelled out of the land for disobedience. It is stated that we were bought with a price, which is a wager. None of us know the price paid, but we can gauge some of the cost by our doings. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 12. Second Samuel chapter 12, we're going to read verse 16.
Dawid therefore besought Elohim for the child, and Dawid fasted and went in and lay all night upon the earth.
That was verse 16?
That was 16, yes.
Okay. All right, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 18.
And Saul said, "Thus shall you say to Dawid, the king desired not any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistine, to be avenged for the king's enemies." But Saul thought to make Dawid fall by the hand of the Philistines. And when his servants told Dawid these words, it pleased Dawid well to be the king's son-in-law, and the days were not expired. Wherefore Dawid arose and went, he and his men, and slew of the Philistines 200 men. And Dawid brought their foreskins, and they gave them in full tale to the king, that they might be the king's son, that he might be the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, to wife. And Saul saw and knew that Yahweh was with Dawid, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him. And Saul was yet the more afraid of Dawid, and Saul became Dawid's enemy continually. Then the princes of the Philistines went forward, and it came to pass, after they went forward, that Dawid behaved himself more wisely than all the servants of Saul, so that his name was much set by.
Okay, that's all we want to do there. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6, and we're going to start with verse 3.
Genesis chapter 6, verse 3. And Yahweh said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, that they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And Elohim saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented Yahweh that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart.
All right. When we go back to 1 Samuel, we see that David paid a price for Michal. It was required of him 100 foreskins. And he presented 200. I was trying to find exactly where it was, but then we also realized that at some point his wife was given to another man. And David turned around when he got back into Israel and got back into position. He said, no, go get me my wife that I was espoused to, and I paid this wager. Let's turn around and listen what Yahweh said about David. He's a man after my own heart. He paid a price for this woman. David said, no, go get her. I paid a price for her. Now let's turn around and look at our Elohim, who also paid a price for us. And we've been given out. 2 other lovers. But in the end, Yahweh says, what? No, I'm coming back for my wife. Same thing David did. Same thing Yahweh's going to do. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 32 and read chapter 5 and verse 4. Now, even when it says Yahweh repented, it repented him that he made man. Once again, Yahweh repented that man was made. But when we read, it was Yeshua, that was Israel's doing. That's why he couldn't bypass that. Even though he prayed 3 times, no, you can't bypass that. Ephesians chapter 4. And we're going to see why he couldn't bypass that. Some things go on in the background that we don't understand unless we really start breaking Scripture down and looking at it. Ephesians chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 32.
And be you kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yeshua's sake has forgiven you.
We read this every Shabbat. Every Shabbat this is read. And until you slow something down, you really don't understand. It says, and be you kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yeshua's sake has forgiven you. For Yeshua's sake have we been forgiven. The same Yeshua who was not allowed to bypass what? Being crucified. There's a debt to pay right there. Continue, priest.
Priest, I just found out this past Sabbath that sometimes you're the donkey. But the problem is that you don't have the same attitude when you think you're the rider. When you're the rider, you have a great attitude when you're the rider. But when you find out you're the donkey, you had a worse attitude. But those two positions change a lot in life.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to have the same attitude as we have when we're the riders in certain situations. When we find out we're the donkey, we have to have the same grace and mercy that we should have when we in a better position as a rider, because our Elohim, we had placed a lot on him. He was the donkey too.
But you know what the funny thing is? Sometimes we think we're the rider. And then when it all breaks down, that moment of you thinking you're the rider, and somebody come and sit you down to counselor, you realize, oh, I was the donkey. And that was the moments you break down, because when it's brought back to you, you realize, boy, I was riding high, but boy, this burden that I'm feeling right now for the moment that I was riding high don't feel good. It's like you say, why don't you take it patiently?
You know, other people's take it patiently also. You know, we have spouses, and we have sometimes they the donkey. No, for real. Sometimes they the donkey. It's a lot that's put on our sisters, our women, and we don't consider when we the riders.
Mm-hmm. We ride hard. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And we don't. So a lot of times, being in certain positions, when you realize you the donkey, you don't have the same attitude.
And you know the funny thing about when we ride hard? They don't have the strength to ride as hard as we do.
Exactly.
Good there, priest. Verse 5 and 1.
Chapter 5 and verse 1.
Yep.
Be you therefore followers of Elohim as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and hath given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. For this you know, that no homemonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, hath inheritance in the kingdom of Yahshua and of Elohim. Let no man deceive you with vain words, because of these things comes the wrath of Elohim upon the children of disobedience. Be you not therefore partakers with them, for you were sometimes darkness, but you are light.
So if we go back to where we were at earlier in Genesis, and it says it repented Yahweh that he had made man. And then we come back here to verse 32, and it says, and be you kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. So even though it repented him, at some point, some things was done for the sake of Yahshua. So if we don't understand the price that's on our heads, maybe we need to look at that. This wasn't done for anything that we did. A man pleaded for us, not only pleaded, but stood in the breach and put his life on the line. But wait, there's more. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 2.
Ephesians chapter 2.
And verse 4.
But Elohim, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, hath quickened us together with Yahshua. By grace are you saved, and has raised us up together, and made us sit together in heavenly places in Yahshua the Mashiach, that in the ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness toward us through Yahshua the Mashiach.
Once again, Elohim's kindness towards us through Yahshua. So if you remove Yahshua from the equation, where do we stand? Go ahead.
Verse 8, for by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of Elohim, not of works, lest any man should boast.
So when we go back to verse 4, it's Yahshua's death, his blood and suffering is Yahweh's kindness towards us. All these things had to be. The price that was paid. Now, like I said, we look at that one. But there was more. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 43. We're going to read verses 3 through 7. Isaiah chapter 43 will be our last piece of scripture for this evening, just so we get an understanding of the wager. And then we can sit down and examine, are we worth this wager? Isaiah chapter 43 and start at verse 3 through 7, please.
For I am Yahweh, your Elohim, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I gave Egypt for your ransom, Ethiopia and Seba.
So let's break down verse 3. For I am Yahweh, your Elohim. I'm the El, the Holy One of Israel. Israel is your Savior. So if you don't understand why you're called Israelites, it's after your Savior, Israel. Go ahead.
Since you was precious in my sight, you have been honorable, and I have loved you. Therefore will I give men for you, and people for your life.
So he said, I gave Egypt for your ransom. A ransom is a price that has to be paid, right? For captives, right? You got to pay a ransom for people to get free. Yahweh's letting you know, I paid a ransom for you. Go ahead.
Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your seed from the east and gather you from the west.
So when we go back to verse 4, it says, since you was precious in my sight, you have been honorable, and I have loved you. Therefore will I give men for you and people for your life. This is future. Because he just mentioned the Egyptians. They were already killed off. Those that needed to be killed off. And we can go back and we can read all these other nations, the Amorites, the Hittites, and all these men that were killed off. But here's an I will, not I've done. I will give men for you and people for your life. So there's still a price that we haven't taken care of yet. Go ahead.
Verse 6, I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far, and my daughters from the end of the earth. Even everyone that is called by my name, for I have created him for my glory. I have formed him, yea, I have made him.
So once again, everyone that is called by my name. What did he say earlier? Israel. I'm the El of Israel, your Savior. Everyone that's called by my name. What are we called? Israelites. He said it. Fear not, I'm with you. I'll bring my seed from the east and gather them from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Those are also war tactics, isn't it? Those are words of war, right? Hey, man, give me what's mine. But as we have read, there's a price that was already paid. And there's a price that still yet will be paid. So now let's examine ourselves and ask that question. Are we worth the wager? Am I worth the wager? Are you worth the wager? That's all we're going to do for this evening. Enjoy your new moon. Shalom, family.
Shalom.